All right, everyone, we are live with Jaime Jo Wright. We're going to talk about Tempest and Annabel's Lighthouse, which was our buddy read for July on my YouTube channel. So we're just going to have a fun time with Jaime. So excited you're here.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. This is fun.
So I know that a few people have already read it. I think everybody who's popping in so far has read it or at least read some of your books. I know everybody in the comments has read your books.
Great.
So I'll just share a few of the comments before we go into questions because I like to have, everybody chatting in as well. So I mentioned B to you. She's the one who's living overseas and she loves Jaime. Favorite author, can't wait.
Hey.
And B said she read the book a while ago, but it's nearly midnight, but she wanted to hang in for the fun.
My goodness. Go to bed, lady. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for waiting up and not going to bed.
And I don't know if you share your age, but B asked how old you were.
I'm so old. I'm ancient. I'm actually going to be 49 in 24 days.
Oh, you don't look 49.
I'm very old. I told my kids I'm closer to dead than I am alive.
I did see your post about that.
Yeah. They were kind of like, what? And I'm like, well, think about it. And they're like, no, you're going to live to be 100. I'm like, doubtful. Anyway.
And B says she only has 4 left to read, which is also me. I only have 4 left to read of yours.
Ooh, that's awesome. Including the one coming out this month and last month and this month?
No, I haven't counted the one that came out this month. So 5.
Like, I'm just thinking the Bethany House ones, not the love-inspired suspense.
Yeah.
The new thriller. Oh, funny.
Yes, I do have to add that to my list now.
That's okay. It's fine. It's giving you a hard time.
Celestia
you really don't have to read every single book I write.
Yes, I do, because you're one of my favorites. And you're technically on like my authors to read the entire backlist from, so I'm close.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a compliment. And it's probably good you started now because there's some authors like Kara Putman, like if you decide you want to start reading their backlist, you're like, oh, that's like 40 plus books I have to read.
Or Tracy Peterson.
Oh, let's not even talk about Tracy. You're doomed. I mean, happily doomed. Happily doomed.
He says her son knows you too because she talks about you all the time.
Oh, that's so cool.
And T's here. Hey, T.
Hello.
On your good hands. Coffee's ready and a candle.
See, she knows how to do this. Like coffee for sure.
And Mom's still reading.
Oh, Diane.
She tried. She really did try.
I'm so proud of you, Diane. Thank you for trying.
She's close. She's like 85% of the way through.
Well, how it ends is no.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just have to like make sure there's no spoilers for her, or else warn her.
No. I'm good, honestly. Like I try to make the questions like fairly non-spoilery for everybody, so
yeah,
and still enjoy it, even if
I'll try not to pull a Tom Holland.
I did that to my dad, and he still has never read the book that I spoiled for him.
Oh well,
that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, funny. I mean, it's hard to not spoil Pride and Prejudice, Dad. Obviously, Mr. Darcy ends up with Lizzie.
You're her favorite author. And hugs from UK.
Can I just say, the UK and the way they spell is so much cooler than American English. Like I like the favorite, like we don't throw the U in there, and I'm like, it looks so much more elegant with the U.
It does.
It does.
Mm-hmm. I probably have misspelled or spelled it the UK way at some point.
I know I have. And there's a few times what was the word? Oh, Spectre. Spectre is in the glass house. I wanted it spelled Spectre, because that's how I always learned it, from reading Charles Dickens and everything English. And they're like, that's not how you spell Spectre. I'm like, yeah, it is. And they're like, no, it's Secter. I'm like, oh, fine.
I didn't think of it either way. I would have liked the RE.
I think it looked cooler, but apparently not. It's okay. I'll be all right.
Jamie said she just started listening to it today. Yay.
Ooh, awesome. Audiobook. I do a lot of audiobook listening.
That's what I did. Yeah, I was like, because sometimes I just have to hurry up because I have too many books going on.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to.
Yeah.
I don't have the whole sitting down and reading luxury very often. So
Mom said she was reading your book by accident. Not by accident. It was on your list.
by accident. Oh, here's
I gave her two.
Yeah, no.
She just read them out of order.
Oh, funny.
Celestia said she's read all your books except your newest one, which she started today.
Wow.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And this Jamie is a year older than that Jamie.
Hey, we're in a good age. We're in a good age right now. I'm okay with it. I'll own it.
T's been binge reading your book since last year. Awesome.
Oh, awesome.
I've been binge reading since, wow, now the title's escaping me. The Lake one.
Souls of Lost Lake.
Yeah, Souls of Lost Lake.
What's the name of the lake one? I have a few with lakes in them, but I was like, wait, there's not a lake in the name though, except for one.
Yes,
so.
Souls of Lost Lake was my first.
I like that one. That was a fun one to write.
And T's reading the newest now with Celestria. Awesome.
Action-packed. Ooh, I like that. Yay!
Everybody's popping in. Hello.
So fun.
B says she's 48. I have lots of your books, Jamie, waiting for the new one and buying them. New one is coming next week. Yay. Oh, your son bought it for you.
Oh, that's so cool.
My family doesn't buy me books. They're like, you have enough. I'm like, I know, but.
No, that's not a thing. Enough?
I just need a new bookshelf.
Oh, your mom thinks she knows what's coming. I like that. She thinks. She's got it.
She thinks. Celestia says her and T always have so much fun reading your books together and trying to figure out the bad guy.
That is fun to do. Trying to figure it out. Have you ever figured one out? That's what I want to know. Some people have never figured one out.
I feel like I've done a few. I can't remember which ones they were. I think I did guess Spectres in the Glass House. I think I did that one. This one I did a little bit, but like that last little paragraph, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I was so confused at the last paragraph. I'm like, wait a minute.
That was beautiful. The only reason I was saying it was beautiful is because Edgar would be really proud of me. Edgar Allan Poe, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean Edgar Allan Poe, because he just likes, all of his writings are twisty. I call him Eddie. So if I ever say Eddie, it's like Edgar, Eddie. Oh, yes, I have Edgar all over the place. I have Edgar with a skull. I have Edgar over my shoulder. I have Edgar by my pop, whatever they're called. Pop socket. No, not pop socket. Funko Pop. And I have Edgar with a book. And I like Edgar. Whoa, now I'm throwing everything around.
Jamie just bought the Love Inspired book last week.
Oh,
yay.
Awesome. Thank you.
I meant to when I saw it. I took a picture for you, sent it to you, and like just left it there.
That's sidetracked you. I've done that before.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Wait a that. No, it's okay. It's a different type of book. I mean, Love Inspired Suspense is different than what I write with Bethany House. So
Mom said she'll definitely read more. You've read other books by her. Like, wait a minute, you've read at least one other one.
Apparently, they were not interesting enough to leave a memory.
I know.
I like giving your mom a hard time. I'm just
can hear her laughing in the background. Hi, Morgan. Morgan says the Souls of Lost Lake was also the first one of yours that she read.
Oh,
and
fun.
Has been ever since.
That's awesome.
She said she loved the poem Annabel Lee in high school, so I was thrilled to see this book.
Yeah, this one was, my publisher actually asked me if I would write a book that was inspired by something Edgar Allan Poe wrote. So I was like, well then. The Raven and the Telltale Heart have been a little overdone. So I decided to go with Annabel Lee.
I don't know if I've read that one.
Katie,
I'll have to check it out.
Katie,
I know.
Katie.
I've read a few, but I don't think I've read that one.
Katie, I'm like, where's my book? I should read it. It's not that long, really. Is it? Let's see if it's in this
Mom
one.
said she never liked Edgar Allan Poe, but I love yours, Jamie.
Oh, Diane, how are we friends? That's okay.
I was going to say, Mom and I aren't related.
No. Trying to see if I have Annabel Lee in this little book. I have like little Edgar Allan Poe books like all over my room too. I don't think Annabel Lee's in this one though. Fall of the House of Usher. Side note, don't watch the Netflix version. No, I don't have Annabel Lee in this one. I have it on one out in the other room. Anyway. Annabel Lee is a story of tragic lost love.
B said Cliffs of Foxglove Manor was her first.
Love that one. That is my worst selling novel. But I really like that one.
Jamie says the first one she read was Lost Boys of Barlow Theater. That's a good one. I really like that one.
Yeah. No, I have a friend who works in Hollywood, and he's been trying to pitch my my movie. Not my movie, my book. He thinks my book should be made into a movie too. But Hollywood doesn't move fast, and they don't get excited very easily. I'll be a new reader. What would you give a new reader for your recommendation? I like mystery and angst. Oh, Joanna Davidson Politano is definitely one you need to check out if you like mystery and angst, because they go together in her books. Katie, have you read Joanna's books?
Yes, I've read all of them except for her newest one and I think one other one.
Okay, all right. Yeah, those are really, really good books. If you like Kate Morton or Susanna Kearsley, you'll like Joanna a lot.
And if you're looking for a Jaime Jo Wright book, they're all good.
But I was going to recommend myself. That's weird.
I know. Well, I can recommend it then.
Okay, you recommend it.
My favorite is The Vanishing at Castle Monroe. Is probably my favorite.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I love that one. Yes, okay. Or The Curse of Misty Wayfarer. Both of those.
That one's one of my personal favorites. The Curse of Misty Wayfarer. I think my two favorite. Well, if I picked my top three, would probably be The Curse of Misty. Let me try again. The Curse of Misty Wayfarer. On the Cliffs of Foxglove Manor. And then it would have to be a toss. It would either be Echoes Among the Stones or Spectres in the Glass House. But I don't know.
B asked if she could ask you a question.
Of course.
Of course, that's why we're here. Jamie says she has a great niece named Annabel Lee.
Oh,
was a bit horrified they named her after that poem.
Oh, but it's such a beautiful poem. And Annabel Lee in the poem is like she captures the heart. She captures the soul and the essence. So your niece can wear that name with pride. It's good.
Celestia said she never read any Edgar Allan Poe until Tempest.
Mm-hmm. Edgar Allan Poe is the king of Gothic. Not goth. Of Gothic. He wrote his books in the early 1840s. He only lived to be 40 years old. And the other part about Edgar Allan Poe that's really cool is like there's so much mystery around how and why he died. Like it's unsolved. So it wasn't necessarily murder, but some people think it was. You were looking for a self-wreck. Okay. Well, that's just weird. You're not weird. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying giving you a recommendation about one of my books. feels weird.
Celestia says her first was The Reckoning at Gossamer Pond, and it's still her favorite.
Yeah.
Hi, Jeannie. Jeannie's new to creepy read, so the only one I've read so far is The House on Foster Hill.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, here's B's questions. He said, did you ever think to write something like you do and put an old monastery in the background?
I have, yeah. Honestly, I've kind of, in the area that I live here in Wisconsin, instead of monasteries, we have nunneries, like places where the nuns all lived together. So I've kind of thought of maybe doing, for lack of a better way of saying it, haunted nun story. But I also am kind of like, that would be, I have to be careful with that one because I want to be respectful of the Catholic Church and Catholic readers. So, but the monasteries would be cool. I just don't know if we have any monasteries in the Midwest. And I could go to England. I guess that would give me a chance to stretch my wings.
Yes, research trip.
There we go.
Okay, so what inspired you to write the story, Tempest at Annabel's Lighthouse? How did you come up with the idea? Although you did say Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, honestly, that was a little bit part of it. Where do I start with this one? So here's the backstory on the Tempest at Annabel's Lighthouse. I actually wrote a lighthouse book set in Lake Superior. That was a mystery. And I wrote that one before The House on Foster Hill, which was my first book. And that one got shelved. And then when Bethany House Publishing asked me if I would do a book that was loosely inspired by an Edgar Allan Poe story or something, I immediately thought of Annabel Lee for whatever reason. It was the first thing that popped into my head. And then I got to thinking, ooh, water, lost at sea type of a concept with Annabel Lee. For those who haven't read Annabel Lee, it's essentially the man who was in love with her talking about how she was his life, his love, and then basically it reads as though the waters claimed her and you assume she drowned or was lost at sea or something like that. So that immediately re-inspired my thought of the book that I had written several years ago, which was elements of that. And so I thought, well, let's just revive it. So I went back, opened it up, and then I started looking at some other aspects. And I wanted to bring in the Annabel Lee concept. And so that's where the ghostly presence of the haunted lighthouse came in. So it's kind of a mishmash of things as to why I came up with that and how I came up with it.
So was the lighthouse based on a local lighthouse near you?
Yeah, it's based on a lighthouse up in the Upper Peninsula. And there's a couple different lighthouses up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is on Lake Superior. And so I kind of mishmashed a couple of them together. So it's not one specific, like, this is the lighthouse. And there's one that I picked for kind of how I model the outside of it. And then there was another one that I kind of took elements of how it was constructed inside and kind of merged them and made my own lighthouse.
So this question could be for everybody, if everybody wants to answer in the comments too, but who is your favorite character to write / read?
In this book specifically?
Yes.
That's a good question. I did really enjoy writing the character of Edgar. He was the old lighthouse keeper, and it was fun to bring in an older character who kind of had the wisdom and the age, and then the no filter, like, I'm old enough now, I've experienced enough life, I don't really need to filter how I'm thinking, I'm just going to say it kind of personality, a little bit of the crotchety fisherman. So I really did enjoy writing Edgar. But I would probably say if I had to pick between the heroines, I enjoyed writing Rebecca in the historical time period the most. But this is what's weird. I really enjoyed writing Rebecca, but I was probably more passionate about writing Shay's story, if that makes any sense. Kind of because of what Shay was experiencing in the contemporary timeline, the elements of her struggles. I was really passionate on bringing that out in the story. So that's kind of where I sit. I would say probably Edgar and Rebecca would be my two top.
I think mine is kind of a surprise. My favorite was honestly, I really liked Pete.
Yeah.
I liked his quiet love. Like, kind of
Mm,
reminded me of my dad, like showing love through actions versus
yeah.
like the romantic aspects that
Mm,
she wanted, and just them both having to learn that, they were showing each other love just in different ways and they kind of had to grow.
right. Right. Well, and I think a lot of men tend to show their love through action because it's just, they're kind of fixers, right? And women are looking for the emotional side of things, and the men are going to be more functional. So, we're like, well, you haven't kissed me today yet. You haven't told me you love me. You didn't buy me flowers, and all this kind of stuff. And the guys are like, changed your car battery. I checked your oil. I put air in your tires. And we're going, yay. But then the minute you take that away, right, you don't have somebody to do that anymore. You're like, oh, that was an act of love, those types of things. So learning how to um, interpret people's love, I think, is really important.
I feel like Pete has been like the most realistic love, honestly, that I've ever read in a book, just
Oh,
because
really?
he did
Okay.
remind me so much of my dad. And I feel like a lot of romance books just, they kind of show the aspect of like puppy love and but then like keep it at that level
Mm-hmm.
versus like showing how it grows and showing more of the
Yeah.
actions of love.
Yeah. Well, and it was different writing this one too because Shay and Pete were married, which it wasn't a story of two people finding each other and falling in love. You have two people who've been married for 10 years, and I think the way she describes it in the book was it was kind of like living in a dorm with your dorm mate, your roommate at this point. Yay, very exciting. And I think a lot of people, when you're in a married relationship, the puppy love, the giddiness, it wears off, and then you have to determine what you're left with and how you're going to keep love alive and recognize love. So it was fun to write Pete. I did like Pete.
Jeannie asked, how old were you when you started to write? She's 36 and just starting to write seriously.
Oh no, you're right on time. You're right on
I was
time.
going to say I'm 33 and I spoiler alert, just finished my first one. So
yeah, there you go. No, I mean, I've always written. I mean, you can probably look back into elementary school and think about a silly little story you might have penned. I did write some books when I was a teenager, just because I liked writing them. But honestly, once I graduated high school, I didn't do much writing, if any, until my first writers conference was when I started taking it seriously, and that was when my daughter was born. So that would have been 15 years ago. So I think I was about 34 when I really started writing seriously and pursuing it. So yeah, I think you're not too old. Silly girl.
and it's timing of God too. If God wants you to write a book when you're 85, go for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think the thing is too is I don't want to downplay the business of writing because it is a business when you talk about getting traditionally published and finding a publisher and finding an agent. I mean, there's a whole plethora of things that go into writing, but I think in the end we can get so sidetracked by how do we do all this? What's the mechanics of it that you forget that you started writing because you like to tell a story, so just enjoy telling the story and go from there. See where it evolves.
Says it sounds fascinating. She's only read The Boys of Barlow Theater so far, but has Spectres ready to go.
I like Spectres. I hope you like Spectres. Spectres was
I did.
that was
It
a
was
fun
good.
one. Yeah.
So T's kind of on the track of where I was going with my question too. You write a lot of books with like the supernatural undertones, but
Mm-hmm.
with the Scooby-Doo explanation. what intrigued you to kind of combine those two, the faith with the eerie supernatural part?
I don't know. I really don't. I get asked that all the time, and I'm like, it wasn't like I had an epiphany moment where I'm like, oh, let's do this. I think part of it goes back. It's another conglomerate answer because I liked to read the classics. So I really liked The House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I liked Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I liked Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. And if you read just those three, you have very eerie, ghostly, dark, gothic stories. But if you read those three, none of them really have a ghost, but it seems like they do. And I really liked that element, kind of like that concept of walking through a creepy old house and thinking something's going to jump out at you, and then having it jump out at you, and then thinking and then what is it? And then the mystery, and it kind of becomes like a whodunit on a supernatural level. I think part of the other reason that I started writing it, honestly, was it was stuff I wanted to read. And you can find a lot of it in the general market. Some of it's really, really good. Most of it, usually there is a ghost, and it is a ghost. I mean, they don't try to explain it differently. But there wasn't anything really in the Christian market or the inspirational market that dove into that kind of creepy gothic element either. So I thought it would be a fun thing to try. It was kind of a challenge that I wrote for myself. And it's just continued to evolve, and it's really fun. It's really fun. But yeah, I mean, most people are like, wait, you write Christian ghost stories? What? Like, well, yeah, kind of.
That's how you pique their interest in you.
Exactly.
Suck them in.
Or you terrify them and they turn around and run. Oh, the question. Do I ever have trouble coming up with new book ideas? No. I have an extremely overactive imagination. I probably have more ideas in my head than I'll ever be able to write, to be perfectly honest. I just started writing another book today, and I'm already thinking about the one that I'm going to write 6 months from now, because I'm like, oh, but the one today's fun, but the one in 6 months. So it's more keeping myself on track than it is running out of ideas.
That's what I told my family. I'm like, book 2 has me so excited. And she goes,
Yeah.
but you haven't even started writing yet. I'm like, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Celestia said she loved Pete.
Aw. Here's a question though for all of you though. I'll ask a question. You guys can answer in the comments as we go. But this is what throws me is I've had more people tell me how much they loved Pete, but yet in real life, the Petes are usually not the lovable ones. They're not the ones we talk about. Why is that? That's my question. I mean, because the men that get talked about, whether they're famous or whatever, tend to be the real flamboyant, charming, romantic, etc. And there's a lot of Petes in this world that just fly under the radar. And I kind of wonder, if we like them so much and we love them so much in a book, how come we don't in real life?
Maybe because most of us have a Pete in our life, but like,
yeah. Do we realize it?
Yeah, it's exactly.
Do we recognize it? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic Pete either. It can be a father or a brother or a cousin or something like that. But yeah.
B says your language is spectacular. It's very unique. How you play with the words is just amazing.
I will say that my editor at one point put in the comments when he was editing one of my books, and he said, you can stop trying to be Charles Dickens. We don't need 5 pages of explanation to set the scene. And I'm like, but I like Charles Dickens. So I do like English authors. Words are fun. Words create the music of a story, because you can't write a soundtrack for a book. Like, books aren't, they should be, but they're not sent out with soundtrack playlists that you can stream while you read it. Like you had a soundtrack where you could play this song at chapter 1. Ooh, maybe I'm onto something. Anyway, like if you had a song for each scene or etc., that would be really cool, but you don't. And so you kind of have to create music with words is how I look at it. And so I try to string words in a way that sound musical in my own mind, if that makes sense.
I think I did read one book like that, but I can't remember what it was, where they actually did have a soundtrack that goes along with the chapters.
I know, I'm starting to think about it, and I'm like, that would be really cool if I had the time to sit and pick out music per chapter. I might have to try that sometime.
Or you just send it to me and I'll pick out songs for you.
There you go. Anything to get the book before it's in print, right?
Exactly.
I see the manipulation going on there. Oh, what inspires me to write? Eddie, no, that's just creepy. Life. I've always loved life. I think everywhere you go, there's story. Everybody has a story. Everything has a story. I'm not saying everything has a spirit. I'm just saying everything has a story. Like, you can go into an antique shop and pick up a teacup, and that teacup, if it could talk, would have a lot of stories, as to where it's been and who's used it and what they were doing the day that they used it. And that's how my mind works. Like when I go to old places, like I'll go to old museums or old houses, places that people are going that, you go to George Washington's home and you're like, oh, George Washington lived here. And oh, he was the first president of the United States. And I'm going, look at those curtains. I wonder what they saw. What would they say? I'm like literally trying to figure out, like, if a curtain could talk, what happened in this room, and so I think everything has kind of a story, and that just makes life so interesting. And that's always inspiring. So it kind of goes along with the question of like, do I run out of ideas? I'm like, no, not really, because everything has the potential to have a secret locked inside of it, and it's fun to try to unlock those.
Yeah, I love that explanation. I don't look at curtains that way, but like I
You
will go
now.
into yeah, now I will. Thanks, Jamie.
You're welcome.
But no, like I also have an extremely vivid imagination. So I visited Biltmore or whatever, and like I can like picture like myself dancing in the room, or gee, what if somebody went to the library? What would they pick out?
Yeah.
or what would I pick out if I was able to touch the books or whatever?
Right. Well, I think the other part of that, what inspires me to write too is the concept of, so much of my books have death in them, right? And death, die, death. Everybody's like, why do you like writing about darkness? And I'm like, because I think, especially in the Christian market, especially in the inspirational market, we need to be writing about the darkness more, because the point of the darkness is how the light has overcome it. And because I've heard a lot of people say, and I'm not saying this as a criticism to anybody if this is what you prefer, but a lot of people say, I like reading Christian fiction because it's inspiring. It makes me feel good. And there's so much dark in the world that it makes me feel better. And I'll read some of those books, and I do read them, and they're fun and they're enjoyable. But I'm kind of like, I don't want to necessarily live in the beauty, because the world is dark and God has brought the light into it. And so with my books, I want to be able to write that darkness, but bring the reader up out of it into the pinpricks of hope and light that God has been able to overcome the darkness, right? So bringing that element of death and it not being morbid for people who are believers. It's not morbid. It's not the end. It's like when my mom died and my son was really struggling. I said, think about it, dude. I'm like, you said you've had the worst moment that you will ever have with your nanny. I said, you have gone through the last goodbye. You will never have to tell her goodbye again. Everything that's awful that you were afraid would happen someday with Nanny has happened. You've walked through it, and now you're on the other side of it, and you get excited because you said your last goodbye, but you didn't say your last hello. And there's a whole bunch coming. So the next time you say hello to Nanny, you never have to worry about saying goodbye again. And that's the part of belief and faith that I want to infuse into my books. And that darkness is like, yeah, you get off the other side of darkness and it's just hope eternally. And it's amazing. And I think as believers, it's really important to be really aware of what we've been taken up out of. Instead of, and I don't want to say ignoring it, but not addressing it. There, I'm done preaching.
I was gonna say you're gonna make everybody cry who's watching.
No, don't cry. Don't cry.
Only a good cry. But yeah, I loved the way you explained that. I know I've heard you talk about, your books talking about darkness with the light, though. I love the way you just explained it right there.
Yeah. Well, I was explaining it to an 8-year-old and he was struggling, so.
Yeah.
Oh, it's from Dan. Have you ever thought about writing humor in your books? Kind of like, okay, but read the book coming out in October, Diane. The Bell Tolls at Traeger Hall has some humor in it. I actually brought in humor. So yes, I have.
This is how I can find her in a grocery store. I can just hear her like 5 aisles that way.
Yeah.
Jeannie says, thanks so much. It's so awesome to hear when others have a similar timeline for writing. I didn't say 5 miles. I said 5 aisles.
It's like, I'm not that loud. No, yeah, Jeannie, I think just enjoy the writing process. You're totally fine. So. Oh, yeah. Reading my books in October. Yeah, I hear that a lot.
It is a good time for it.
It is a good time.
Except for Souls of Lost Lake. It's kind of a summer read.
It is. It is. But it's still creepy.
But you can read it anytime.
You can.
And yes, my dad is a total Pete for sure.
That's awesome. That's good. And you should talk about your husband a lot. Those guys need to be talked about. Have I ever considered changing up my dual timeline, like just writing one timeline? Or I'm not sure where we're going with that, but sort of, because I did just come out with a love-inspired suspense, which is all contemporary. And then this month, I also have a book coming out as part of an anthology. So it's a little bit of a smaller novel, but it's longer than a novella. And that one is a psychological thriller. And that's actually first person. So it's coming from the point of view of a young, well, I should say a young woman, a woman who had been abducted 10 years prior. And now it seems like she escaped. It seems like her abductor might be back, but she's pretty much blocked it from her memory. But she knows that when she escaped, she left others behind. And she realizes now she has to figure out what happened to them. And so it's kind of the start. It's a kickoff story to what I'm hoping will become a long series, but we'll see. Well, there you go then.
Yeah. I think in books, it's easier to see what their intentions are. It's romanticized. In real life, it's harder to read them. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree with that. Yep.
Jamie said her husband is also definitely a Pete. I have to remember that taking care of my car is how he loves me.
It is so true. And honestly, if you start looking at those things through the lens of romanticizing it, your husband's going to think you lost your mind. But on the flip side, you find yourself appreciating him more, and appreciating those things more. And then when you express that, they're like, oh, well, they kind of like, thanks. Like, you noticed. You noticed the flowers that I gave you in the form of a grease and oil job on the bottom of your car.
He said she has a verbal Pete and think Shay needed that side too.
Yes.
Yeah, she just needed to know. Yeah.
Well, I'd agree.
Sometimes we're just verbal people.
Well, yeah, I think sometimes the Petes in the world need to stretch themselves a little bit too. Not gonna lie.
Said she has a friend that wrote a book, and she has a Spotify playlist on her web for her newest book.
That's awesome. That's
So
cool.
now the ideas are churning. Write that one down, Jamie.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard of like playlists to go with books. I'm just trying to think, like, what if we took it a step further and we're like, on page 123, click play on track number 4. But I don't know if
That would
anybody
be fun.
do that. That might be kind of fun though. Think on that one. Asking what if is always, yeah, that's a good question to ask. What if?
Did you learn anything new about history while researching for this book
Anything new?
that you didn't know before?
Well, yeah, little bits and pieces about lighthouse keeping, honestly, the types of oil that they used, the various um, decades, the logs that the light keepers would keep to make sure that anybody who'd come before, they could see patterns in the lakes and things like that. Um, the history that is in Silver Haven, which is in the book, with the mining history that I mentioned, and there's the silver mines. The Upper Peninsula and the area that these books were set is known for copper, not really silver. And the reason I did silver is because there was a small section of time, which was literally just a couple of years, where there was some silver found, and they thought, just like in the book, it was going to be the next big thing. And there were all these investors, specifically from Pennsylvania, that was going to be a whole big thing, and it went bust very, very quickly. People lost tons of money in that area because of it. And so a lot of that is actual history. There's, without giving it away in the book, there's a scene where there's a building that burns, and that actually happened. So it's just a lot of interesting history from that standpoint, as far as local history. Yeah. Yeah, I wish more dark books had that too. I know some people like to stay in the dark, and I've heard people say that. I like the dark books, but that's okay. But I like kind of coming out of it at some point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, there's too many books that just kind of stay there. It's like,
Yeah, I don't want
no.
to be depressed when I leave a book or utterly terrified to walk down the hall.
I heard something interesting one time where they said Christians can't write dystopian novels because dystopian means there's no hope at all from beginning to end. I was like, it can't, yeah.
That's not necessarily true though, because if you've read the Hunger Games series, there's elements of hope come out there. That's interesting.
Jennifer asks, have you ever thought about writing a book that has to do with an old train station?
I did. An old train depot. That one is The Haunting at Bonaventure Circus. You wouldn't think there was a train depot, but there is. So, yes.
That one's on my backlist.
Yeah. That one's fun because it brings in some local hometown historical markers. So the train depot that's in that book is actually in my hometown. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
James.
Jamie meant the singular timeline, yeah.
Yep. Oh, besides the Love and Well, so the anthology that I was mentioning, the psychological thriller that I have coming out in August, is called the thriller collection is called Secrets Along the Shore. So if you look that up on Amazon, you can pre-order it now. My book is included in that, and the title of mine is The Ones I Left to Die. And that's part of the anthology. As far as historical singular, I've thought about it. I've thought about all kinds of stuff, to be perfectly honest. So we'll just kind of see where things go over the years.
I honestly thought that too, that the marriage was going to end, but I was like, no, I really want to see them give it a second chance.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to throw Holt into the book, because I kind of wanted Holt to be that person that every woman has sort of wanted, like thoughtful, romantic. And I wanted Pete to come along, and I kind of wanted Pete to even be a little bit boring, where you're kind of like, I wanted you to have, honestly, an ethical and moral struggle as a reader, because I really wanted you to see how easily we can forget what we have and be tempted. Yeah, I felt there was temptation to be tempted by what we want. And also that concept of getting away for self-care drives me nuts. I'm not saying you don't take care of yourself, but getting away to focus on yourself, um, usually enhances the issues, in my experience, because it becomes very self-absorbent versus self-sacrificial. And that's really what I wanted to show with that. And so I did. I wanted to bring Holt in, and I wanted Shay to be tempted. And there wasn't anything wrong with Holt necessarily. It wasn't like there was an illicit affair. It was just like, this is what I wish my husband was. This is what my husband is. And as a reader, I wanted you to go, I really want her to be with Holt, except I know I'm not supposed to. I should want her to be with Pete, but he's more romantic, and my heart kind of and I wanted you to have, and I don't know if it worked, but I was hoping the reader would have that struggle of moral dilemma, so to speak, because that's a struggle that a lot of people do face. And yeah, I wanted to show the benefits of not falling into temptation.
I think you did a good job with that. I'm like, oh no, where is she taking this? And I was like, oh, okay.
Katie's like, this might be the last Jaime Jo Wright book I ever read.
I think I've heard that too. Yeah. It's like, it's not really horror.
Yeah, I get thrown into the horror category, which is fine. I have no problem with it. I have some Christian readers who I am horror to them, because they literally do not read anything scary in the slightest. So from that standpoint, I think horror becomes a little bit subjective depending on who you are. But if you were to hold me next to an actual horror novel, I would look like frosted sugar ice cream. Like, horror novels are a whole other element.
I grew up with Ted Dekker, so
Even
so yours were nothing.
Yeah, well, I know. Mine compared to his are tame, and Ted Dekker compared to actual horror is tame. So that tells you how horrifying horror can be. Thriller, yeah. Yeah. I get lumped in with thriller is probably more accurate. I like to call it, I usually, if you ask me, I usually call them gothic mystery. But there's not really a category called gothic mystery in any bookstore. So they usually end up in either romantic suspense or thriller. And romantic suspense isn't really accurate, because that's more of a, like a Lynette Easton or something. So thriller is probably the closest to accurate.
If I ever own a bookstore, I will have one little shelf that says Gothic Mysteries, just for you.
Thank you.
Well, does anybody have any last questions for Jaime before we head off? I'm glad I still had time on StreamYard, because it said your time limit is coming up because of the free thing. And I'm like,
like, ah. This has been a lot of fun. It's been fun to chit chat.
It's been fun.
I meet several new readers, and even people from England who stayed up really late. So thank you for that. It's awesome. Oh, that's cool. I've had a lot of people mention that, where they've really been nervous. And some people have been kind of even questioning whether it's right to read my books, from the standpoint of like, am I going into a spiritual kind of world that shouldn't be touched? So I always do try and let people know that, if you've ever watched Scooby-Doo, there's the school janitor pops out from underneath the sheet at the end. And that's pretty much what you have with my books. Maybe not as goofy, but
That's probably what drew me into your books, honestly, because I was a Scooby-Doo girl.
Oh, yeah, me too. I love Scooby-Doo. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really appreciated it.
We loved the beginning of the
Oh,
story.
that was, I wanted to instantly nod to Edgar Allan Poe. And in Annabel Lee, he mentions the sepulcher. And I wanted to bring that wording and that verbiage in without plagiarizing it, because that'd be bad.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you,
Yes.
Jaime, for hanging out.
This was fun.
All right, I will see you guys all later. Bye, guys.